Welcome to the CBS Eye on Money Show. It's Tuesday, December 13th, and we are here answering financial questions and also presenting fabulous content that maybe is not associated with a listener per se, but associated with my day job, which is I am the CBS News business analyst. So last week I went on the air on our program, CBS Mornings, to discuss what it means to actually start having a family, because one of our hosts, Vladimir Duthier, is preparing to be a father. So they kind of got me on the side. They're like, hey, what can we do? We're going to do a segment about how Vlad can prepare financially to be a parent. And so we put the segment together, which I thought was really cool because I think so many of you might be thinking about how you prepare to have a baby. So to that end, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put this segment on and you'll hear it. So who are you going to hear? You're going to hear me. You're going to hear Tony DeCopel, Gail King, Vladimir Duthier, and Nate Burleson. Everyone's at the table. We're talking about this. There's like a lot of chatter and laughing because it's like a happy segment. And sometimes we talk about hard things, and this was a very happy segment. So here is the segment that aired last week about how to prepare for parenthood.
We are continuing our series, Vlad to Dad, and Vlad is here. So we are side by side. I love those graphics. Too. So good. Vlad, thank you very much for being here. We're going to walk you through.
You're welcome.
It's
only my job, but
it's your job. It's your job. But this is a tough talk today. We're talking money.
We're talking money.
We're talking budgeting for your baby, which is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
Because raising a child from birth until the age of 17 will cost parents almost $300,000, according to the latest government data, and that is adjusted for inflation. So it's been going up. And that does not include the cost of college.
Which almost doubles, I guess, right? When you look at that number.
Is it worth it? I don't know. CBS News. I'll tell you the truth.
He's signaling to his 4 children already.
Don't go to school. Grade school is just fine. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger here to tell us what parents need to know. Where does Vlad need to begin here? Where does the budgeting start?
$300,000 from the moment our baby arrives, which is January 29th next year, to the time that she goes to college. $300,000. That includes what?
That seems like way too big a number. So let's break it back down. Okay.
I even think that's a low number.
It may be. I know.
I was like, let me go back and look at my bank account. Yeah, it wasn't no $300,000.
So let's start with how much do you spend right now? Because until we figure that out, we're not going to be able to adjust your budget. So everybody watching who's thinking about having a child, there are some things that you have to cut back on when the kid comes, right? Some of my friends who are married or coupled and don't have children, they call it their single life when they're spending and living large.
Right.
So you want to figure out, what are you spending now? Then we've got to add in a lot of costs. We have to have the cost of actually having a child. We have to have the cost of things like diapers. And there are tons of resources for this, and clothing. And a lot of those things are going to continue for the near term and then also the long term. But I think what's most important in this process is to just get a grip today. Then we can adjust for the future.
One of the things that's interesting to me is it feels as if, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the majority of the costs involved in raising children have to do with education and medical expenses. If you're buying an extra Happy Meal when you're at McDonald's, that's not really putting a...
I don't know. There are 365 days in the year. The amount of dribs and drabs dollars that fall out of my pocket with I forgot the water bottle. We got to buy one. Oh, someone's hungry. We don't have snacks.
Right.
Little things that accumulate.
It just builds and builds and builds.
But I think,
and they need clothes.
Exactly. Unfortunately, you have to feed them and clothe them.
Yeah.
But I do think the number one issue that we need to address is child care.
Yeah.
Because this is a cost that has ballooned, and it was always an expensive line item before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, costs of childcare average, and I'm telling you, average $10,000 a year. So think about the average household in the United States, which earns about $67,000.
Right.
$10,000 for childcare. So what do you need to do? You need to do a lot of research about what is the cost of care in my area? How can I get babysitters? Should I be getting nannies? Should I be thinking about this? Are there resources? Does my workplace provide for childcare? A lot of companies after the pandemic threw that in as a benefit. It's an amazing benefit. And what you can do is try to put pre-tax dollars away to save for some of those costs. Very important to do that. You get Uncle Sam's help. And there are also, for many people who are at the lower end of the earning income stream, many of those people are able to qualify for credits. So again, I'm sorry to say that you're doing a lot of research on breathing and having babies. You also have to do research on what is available in your area for helping you out with these costs.
But is there a magic number that you could say to Vlad, on a yearly basis, this is what you should plan on for your baby?
Well,
is there such a number?
I think that it really depends on your lifestyle, right? Because
he has a good lifestyle.
I understand that.
Good lifestyle.
I understand that. But for example, as Tony said, there are certain fixed costs that are fixed. I mean, you live in a house, so hopefully that's going to be fine. But if you were to add on, say, that $10,000 for childcare average, maybe inflated if you're on one of the coasts or live in a big city, if you add on the cost of diapers and formula and all those things, I think that you are looking probably at somewhere between, again, $15,000 to $20,000 a year extra that you are not spending right now. And
really
that's
quickly,
a huge thing.
Let me ask you about college, preparing for college. Should you start saving now, and how much per month?
You should have started saving.
Well, wait a second. Before you get into that.
Lawn mowing money when you were a kid.
Yes, and because I'm going to presume that you can start saving for college if you have your emergency reserve fund, if you have paid down your credit card debt, and if you are saving for your own retirement. Unless you have that, then no, you can't save for college. If you are going to save for college, the 529 plan is the most robust way to save for education. Awesome. You put an after-tax dollar in, but it grows without taxation. When your kid goes to school, you pull it out, no tax due. 529 plans, buy them directly through the states. Try to avoid buying them through brokers or advisors. It's really cheap and efficient to do it that way.
Vlad, I got so much free stuff you can take off my hands.
There you go.
Okay, so during the segment, we talked a lot about childcare costs and budgeting. And, one thing we didn't really talk about is how you factor in unpaid time off and whether or not people should make a decision about maybe having one parent stay home. But if you are thinking you're a two-income couple and now one of you is going to stay home, it's pretty tough because I think, yes, there are some people where they go to work and they pay for daycare and it doesn't really make it worth it. But, I would consider this. Is your take-home pay more than the cost of care plus your commuting costs? That's the number one first question. Also, what does it mean about losing one income? Would you lose really valuable benefits? Would you lose like the better healthcare plan? Are you going to lose the retirement plan match? And even if you can afford to have someone stay at home, leaving the workforce can really reduce your future earning potential. That's a massively big change that could impact you for decades in the future. So that's a biggie. Now, Mark, of course, Vlad's like, when can I start saving for college? And we talked about the 529 plan. I think he was excited about it, but I think I tried to make the point about please, please, please make sure you've got your big three covered. One of the other things that we did not get to is about adding a baby to your insurance plan. Now, when you guys had Theo, how did you decide which plan to go with? Did you just go look and see who had a better health plan or what?
No, we went with Amanda right off the bat because we knew she was going to have health insurance no matter what. And with me, it was kind of, the situation was always kind of up in the air. So it was a little uncertainty there. So we just stuck them with Amanda.
And if you are both working, you may want to see which one of your plans has better coverage, right? And also whether your OBGYN and the pediatrician is covered by the plan. If you don't have insurance, maybe you're both self-employed, you can get coverage under the Affordable Care Act because having a baby qualifies you for one of those special enrollment periods, and you can apply within 60 days after your baby's birth, and the plan will cover you. So that's kind of cool. Know what else that I didn't get to do? I didn't get to do a super duper nudge, which is about life insurance. Now, when did Amanda get life insurance? Before or after Theo?
Before. We did all that when we bought our new apartment.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Because it was a huge mortgage.
Oh, okay. Because I think that a lot of people think, oh, I'll just wait till I have the baby. But a lot of stuff can happen during childbirth. Not like horrible stuff. I mean, more like you can develop some things that occur health-wise that preclude you from getting life insurance. So you absolutely should purchase enough insurance to cover living expenses for the survivor, a lump sum maybe to fund future education, money to provide for future retirement needs. Just go to one of those life insurance calculators. They're out there, okay? And of course, we always love term life insurance, and do check that out. Guess what else I didn't get to nudge them about, Mark, when it comes to life insurance and, my favorite thing, death and dying?
Estate.
You bet. We were having so much fun during the segment. I was like, oh, I'm not bringing them all down. But I got to be honest with you. I don't understand these parents who don't have their estate documents. And I know I nudge people all the time on this program, on our other programs. Just do it because, guardianship is a weird thing. You better have real conversations. And if you can't decide on the perfect person, just decide on a person. How about that? Any person will do. Even a placeholder.
Did you get the sense that anything surprised him in terms of the expenses?
There was a stat that they threw out at the top. It is basically, if you raise a child from birth until they're 17, it's going to cost you almost $300,000. Gail's like, there's no way, that's too low a number. But that's because, it is probably a low number, but that's the average. And so I think what was surprising was when I put it in the frame, I'm like, look, the average cost of childcare is $10,000 a year. It doesn't sound like a lot if you're making a lot of money. But if you think about it, the average household, if median household income is $67,000 and you're popping $10,000 on top of that, that's a huge number. And that is one of the big issues right now in this country about why some people are not going back into the labor force because childcare is so expensive. And, we talk about it all the time when we have young parents that come on the air and they spend $30,000 a year on childcare. They spend $25,000 a year. That's $40,000 in a city. Those are real numbers. So that's when I think people make a decision about staying home. If I think about it in terms of the young people that I work with, right? You're a young producer. Let's say you make $75,000 in New York City, and you've got to pay $40,000 out of pocket for childcare. So when you look at your 75 and your take home pay goes down to 50 and your commuting costs, you're like, you know what? Forget it. I'm breaking even. So that's when I think you make that decision, right?
The cost is crazy. I mean, for us, when Theo from 2 to 3, he was in private daycare. And now that he's 3 on, we have him in the public school system. Once he was in the public school system and that daycare tuition came off the books, it's almost like we got a part-time job. That's how much extra money was coming in.
Shocking. It's all very shocking. It really is. So, I mean, look, I don't say that having a baby is not a financial decision. You have a baby because you want to have a baby, but there are financial implications. So all we hope we have done with this segment is just raise your awareness that you can actually get ahead of it a little bit just with some planning. And also that, you don't have to be an all or nothing kind of person. There are gray areas in all of these decisions. So if you're having a baby, you're thinking about having a baby, maybe your kids are having babies and you want to help and you're the grandparent, I'd love to hear from you because these are the issues that are really critical in people's lives. These issues can really set you back or set you up for a much easier future. So give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button and complete your form. And we'd love to talk to you about this. It's so much fun. If you get to the end of the form, there's a little box that says, would you like to join us on the air? Just click it. Mark does everything else. While you're on the website, don't forget, we've got another podcast. It's called Jill on Money. You should subscribe to that. You should also read all the great content on the website. You should sign up for the free weekly newsletter, but also you should pre-order my new book. It's called The Great Money Reset, and it is coming out in just over a month. So check it out because when you pre-order the book, you will be entitled to join us for a webinar in February, which is going to be a blast. All right. Mark Talercio is the co-host and the executive producer of this program. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Try to do something nice for someone else today. Curiosity, compassion, community. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Thursday.